I wanted to create this video because I'm deeply invested in this community. I care about you. I really want you to achieve your weight loss and wellness goals. And I want to make sure that you're avoiding the mistakes that could be holding you back, especially for those who are brand new to intermittent fasting or those who have been using intermittent fasting for a while but not seeing the results. So this video is dedicated to saving you a lot of time trying to figure out why you're not seeing results with intermittent fasting. Now, on a recent community post, I asked you what some of your past intermittent fasting mistakes were, and there was a ton of feedback. So I'm going to go through the most common ones that you guys said, as well as what I've actually seen so that you can avoid these. My name's Autumn. I'm a certified clinical nutritionist with my master's in nutrition human performance, and today's video is also sponsored by Element. More on them in a bit. Okay, so this first one is from Carol Byrne. I think I'm pronouncing her name right. Carol said, before finding your wonderful self, Autumn, thank you. I actually thought intermittent fasting was about going without food. You've helped me enormously in my decision to start. I am just completely blown away. Finishing my detox week tomorrow, 2.5 kilograms down. Oh, congratulations. Loving the 0 calorie counting and just absolutely enjoying good, healthy, satiating food. This one I wanted to start off with because this is probably the most common mistake that I see with every beginner starting intermittent fasting. They think it's all about just cutting a meal, eating less, and that's it. But the problem is this can cause a lot of the typical same issues that people get with long-term calorie restriction: decreased metabolism, decreased muscle, and of course, hunger. But instead, if you are new here and you haven't heard me say this like 1,000 times, intermittent fasting is not about eating less, it's about eating less often. And I know that can be such a weird concept to think about. And unfortunately, it's just because the nutrition community, in my opinion, has done such a bad job about teaching people about how food actually works within the body, because there are so many hormonal changes that happen with the different types of foods that you eat and whether or not you're going to be hungry and whether or not you're going to be using fat as fuel, but also with meal frequency. Like with intermittent fasting, some of the main perks come from the fact that you aren't eating as often. When you eat less often, insulin comes down, which is our storing hormone. This literally turns on essentially a switch within the body that tells the body to burn fat as fuel. When insulin is up, it shuts off this process. So that step alone makes it completely different than just typical calorie restriction, where oftentimes you're told to eat like 6 or 8 times throughout the day. But there's also been studied benefits with certain types of intermittent fasting showing that it can actually help to balance out cortisol levels too, which is really important from a belly fat loss perspective. So a lot of research showing that high cortisol levels, which is our stress hormone, is actually directly tied to weight gain around the belly, which if you're finding this video valuable so far, it'd mean the world to me if you give this video a thumbs up. Really helps support my channel and helps me to keep creating more free content just like this. Okay, next we have Allison May. So Allison said, I used to not pay much attention to what I broke my fast with for some reason. Now I know it's as important as the fast itself. I break it with one of your smoothie recipes and feel great. This goes back to that same idea of not eating less, but eating less often. Intermittent fasting can be a really great tool for achieving a body recomposition goal, which is where you're losing body fat, but maintaining or even increasing muscle mass, because it helps tap into fat burning and it even increases our growth hormone, which is really muscle protective. But if you don't eat enough protein specifically, and if you're breaking your fast with highly refined sugars or flours, you'll counter all of those benefits that you received from the intermittent fast. And the protein component is the most important, especially for a body recomposition weight loss goal, because getting enough protein for your body and eating that throughout the eating window helps protect the muscles from breaking down, which is something that commonly happens with typical calorie restriction. And this makes it easier to burn fat as fuel because it helps to maintain insulin sensitivity. And if you're new here, that might seem like a lot of big words that you aren't very familiar with, but binge a few of my videos and you'll have full understanding. So what we always focus on are meals that are rich in protein, fat, and fiber. This helps stabilize the blood sugar levels from a fasted to a fed state so you don't get those energy crashes, helps make sure you get enough protein to feel satisfied and not hungry, and to prevent muscle loss. But on the flip side, if you are breaking your fast with foods that are low in protein, low in fat, and high in sugar or refined carbohydrates, then you're going to be hungry, you're not going to enjoy the eating window or the fasting window, you're likely going to lose muscle, and you probably won't actually achieve your weight loss goal, especially long term. Now, before we dive into the next thing that beginners to intermittent fasting do, I want to give a huge thanks to today's sponsor, Element. Element is actually an electrolyte company that was created with fasting in mind. Another thing a lot of beginners to intermittent fasting do is they forget to replace their electrolytes after or during the fast. It's super common to lose a lot of electrolytes while fasting, and if you don't replace them, then this can lead to things like headaches, which obviously are not fun. Element has has the sodium, the magnesium, and potassium to help replace lost electrolytes. I like to use the unflavored option during my fast, preferably after a workout because this is when I'm the most sweaty and definitely need a lot of electrolyte replacement. I'll also use the flavored options during my eating window. My current favorite is the mango chili, but they have a lot of other really amazing flavors too, all zero sugar. Right now, Element is offering my viewers a free sample pack with any order. That's 8 single-serve packets free with any Element order. It's a really great way to test out all 8 flavors, so you can get yours at drinkelement.com/autumn. It is only available through my link, so make sure to go through drinklmnt.com/autumn. Okay, next up we have Kay. So Kay said, so for me, when I first fasted, I wasn't exercising. Now fasting while exercising feels so much different. After I exercise, I'm really hungry, but I still have 4 hours left, and it usually makes me feel more low energy or makes me want to eat more. I'm having a hard time adjusting it to my ever-changing exercise routine plus schedule. This is another area where I see a lot of people have confusion around how they actually incorporate exercise with intermittent fasting, and there's a few tools for this. Now, if you are a college athlete or an elite athlete, things will be a little different, but assuming that your goals are maybe slightly increased muscle mass or just feel really healthy and energetic, then here's what you can look out for. First of all, have you actually assessed your protein intake and have you adjusted it now that you are exercising? Because as you add this stressor on your body of exercise, the protein intake does need to go up. And that itself could be why you're feeling hungry or more hungry. I do have a video where you can calculate your protein needs. I'll have that link down description below. Or you can just search on YouTube how to calculate your protein needs, and I'm pretty sure my video is the first one that comes up. But the same thing also goes for fat. So fat is the other main nutrient that our body uses to increase satiety hormones. So increasing high quality fats within the eating window can also help to prevent hunger. Or you can experiment with something like keto coffee or cream in your coffee during the fast to help bridge that gap. But the biggest thing is to actually ease into exercising with intermittent fasting. I see a lot of people go from like 0 to 100 while forgetting that they still have a lot of metabolic and hormonal changes that are occurring in their body when they first start intermittent fasting. Especially if you're used to eating more refined carbohydrates and eating more frequently, it can take a few weeks for the body to actually get adjusted to using fat as fuel and to actually be able to use up fat as fuel for exercise. So starting off with lower intensity exercise, like just going on a long walk and doing that frequently during the fast, can help to ease the body into being more easily able to use fat as fuel during workout. And then as the body gets better and better at using fat as fuel, because you've been using intermittent fasting for a longer period of time and because you've actually addressed your eating window with the foods that we talk about all the time, then you can start to add in higher intensity exercise. But it is so crucial to make sure that you're actually eating enough of the right types of foods that support your workout as well as easing into it. I mean, this is something I cover so heavily in the complete intermittent fasting bundle on how to actually create your meals and how to actually ease into exercise because it is so important. So if you are brand new or if you haven't quite gotten this part figured out with intermittent fasting, you'll definitely want to check out my complete intermittent fasting bundle. I'll have that link down in the description below. Okay, next up we have Megan Deanna Cooper. So Megan said, the cravings for a late night snack would always do me in. I'm better at pushing my break fast till later and having my last meal a bit closer to bedtime. Okay, so this is kind of what we're talking about on one kind of big mistake as well. Like you don't want to actually be eating super close to bed because that could cause issues with being able to fall asleep, having high quality sleep, and even could possibly increase cortisol in the evening. So we need to assess why you're actually feeling like you are hungry in the evening. And there's really 2 main factors. First is you are actually hungry, which leads us back to your eating window. Are you getting enough protein? Are you getting enough fat? Review the nutrient timing guidelines within the complete intermittent fasting bundle. Make sure you're getting enough for your body's needs. If you do that, your satiety hormone should be high enough that from a true hunger standpoint, you shouldn't actually be hungry right after your last meal. And then the other is habit. This one can be a little bit more difficult to fix because habits are so habitual. We get used to doing a certain thing and we want to keep doing it because it is essentially a form of comfort, especially after a long day. So if you find that it's not actually true hunger and maybe it is more of just a habit, we need to create a new habit. This is where I really like to use mint tea because sometimes just even doing something with your hands can be really helpful for creating a new habit that is more supportive of your goals. And mint tea is a natural appetite suppressant that does not break your fast and it's really easy to make. So doing something like mint tea or creating a new habit habit, doing something that you enjoy in the evening instead of reaching for snacks, preferably something that helps you to reduce your stress levels, can help to displace that habit that is causing you to eat later and later. Okay, next up we have Alex Top. So Alex said not being flexible, ending your fast an hour earlier so you can have food with family is a very good idea. This is this concept that we've talked about before in the past, as well as in the complete intermittent fasting bundle, of window shifting. But the basic concept is that on the weekends, when we would normally stay up maybe a little bit later and sleep in a little bit more, you just shift your eating window by a couple hours. This makes it so you can still enjoy those dinner reservations in the evening or the birthday party that you have planned, but still have it fit your long-term goals as well. Or even if it's something that you couldn't plan and you had no idea was coming, but you had this dinner or celebratory meal, having one day where you have a slightly longer eating window is not going to be the end of the world. Because ultimately, if you can't maintain something, it's not going to last. And not having a balance and not allowing for those life moments and shifting your schedule for that is not going to be something that you want to maintain for life. So although more consistency, of course, is better, it's much better to actually get the benefits of intermittent fasting and using it over the long term than to be so strict on yourself and not allow for these celebratory moments or shifting your window for the weekend and not getting any of the benefits as a result. Just do your best, try and plan for those social outings and use that window shifting, but also allow yourself some grace if things happen. That's the key to long-term success. Now, if you want some details on how you can actually break your fast properly, you can check out this video next. Also, if you're new to my channel and you love this science-backed information, make sure you subscribe right here. Come out new videos every Tuesday and Thursday. All right, guys, thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in my next video.